I know it's a church like, but Jesus. See the kind of here.
Of course you can. Go on, do it, go, do it. Take whatever you fancy. Just throw whatever you fancy into the charity bucket. I didn't need him. I can do it. I got £2 quid.
You got £2 quid? I got £2 quid, sure. £2 quid in this carry back, sure.
All goes in. I'll throw it actually. I got change. Take a few there.
Would you be able to say that off?
Yep.
Like already?
So you might put it there.
Well, you pick it up, get the show on the road.
Where the fuck am I standing?
Why not?
Testing.
Listen, folks, I'd just like to say thank you very much for coming along today. It's been a fantastic day. The weather's been amazing, and the cars have been absolutely fantastic. And what a day to just be able to come and walk around cars and have a look at all the different modifications and various things that you guys have been doing. Thanks for coming along. I think it's been the biggest show we've ever had here. I mean, Carried Off Car Meet. It's a meet that takes place every other Thursday here at the church. It's organised by Emma Humphreys and a couple of other guys in the church, and it's great to have the guys who come to the car meet here as well. But it is a wee bit different having a car meet at a church. It's a wee bit different to what maybe most car meets are like, and maybe it's a wee bit different having a car show as well. On the way out today, you're going to get a. It's called a welcome pack, but actually you're getting it as you're going, so it's more of a goodbye pack. But in that there'll be lots of different bits and pieces, and then there'll be a little card explaining kind of car meets and why we do it and what it's all about. And before we give out any of the prizes, we're going to take a wee bit of time just to interview someone who's a guest who's come here today. And it's Stanley Ballantyne. You might have seen his rally car sitting up there. I've known Stanley for years. Stanley is a true petrol head through and through, like all of you are. But he's also been an experienced rally driver and has been for years. I knew him when I was growing up and actually was scared quite a few times in the car when he was driving. He told me that I was very safe, and I did feel that sense of safety, and that's been proven as he's been continuing to drive rally cars for years. But I'm just going to take a wee bit of time to interview Stanley and ask him a few wee questions. So first of all, thanks very much, Stanley, for coming along, coming away from the Northwest, which is obviously a different country, really. And it's great to have you here. But the first thing I want to ask is just a wee bit about how you get into cars. You know, how did you get a passion for cars, and then how did you get into rally driving? A wee bit about that. Thanks.
Thanks, Johnny. Probably last year in the Northwest today, so I come up here. But well, I got into driving fast because I was a buck idiot. Suppose that's how that happened. And my father always drove hard. If he had money when he was young, he said he'd have been a rally driver. And if he'd have been a rally driver, would have been look out Paddy Hopkirk, like, because he would have beat him. But anyway, now when I started driving the roads, I always drove like far too hard. The roads are the same now as they were then, but the only thing there's twice as many cars on them now, so that's probably how I survived. But less traffic. But suppose how I got into rallying. Well, I was going to a wee party in a church hall in Annaghmore one night. I was working in the Moy and staying in Dungannon, so I went down to Portadown. Left with a couple of friends of mine. I was talking to somebody today there that knows one of them very well, Wolsey Coulter, and a boy called Bornsey, and I was taking them to this party in the church hall in Annaghmore. Driving a Fiat 131, where if you're a sport, you need to be brave with age here, you know what that is like. But they handled better as good then as any on the road does now, like. But they don't handle too well in the snow and black ice, because I remember turning right at Redmond's Corner, and the next thing I remembered was coming round in hospital the next morning. So I sort of thought, well, we never got to the party, we must have had a wreck. And then I wondered about Wolsey and Bornsey, and a wee minutes later, Wolsey's mother appeared. She was a cleaner in the hospital. So I says, where am I? She says, you're in Craigavon Hospital. I says, what about Wolsey and Bornsey? I says, them two boys walked home from here last night, so I was glad to hear they were alright, like. Now, I couldn't remember nothing from Redmonds to where that accident happened. When I was lying in hospital, these doctors kept coming up and asking me, is your back sore? And I says, no, my back's alright, it'll lie still, but my face is sore. So this went on for a full week. My back was broke, like, and I knew it was broke, but my face was that badly cut and swollen. They never showed me a mirror, nothing, must have been bad shape. But after a week, this doctor came up and says, put your finger here. Put your finger here, and I noticed this cheekbone light was way down here instead of up there, so they sent me to Dundonald, and they cut a wee slit here and lifted it up. Because it broke a week, it wouldn't stay up, so they drilled a hole here and stuck a pan in to hold it up. I got out of hospital 3.5 weeks later. I was able to walk out, which was a miracle. And the pan sticking out of the side of my nose. And the punks were all looking at how much it was to get one the same. So I tell them it was dear, nearly cost me my life. But anyway, eventually got it out in Dundonald. They pulled it out with a big pair of stainless steel vice grips, just like that, clamped and bang. The thought of it was worse than getting out, like. But anyway, when I got, a couple of weeks later, Wolsey and Bornsey took me and showed me where the accident happened. And I drove another couple of miles from Redmonds. And we're almost at the church hall, and then we hit black ice. And then we steered back and forward, and they said we steered back and forward, I guess, here, and eventually she bit me and she went to a woman's front garden, and a big thick telegraph pole came in through my door, and it squashed my seat up to about this width here, and brought the car wrapped around it, and the fire brigade cut me out, and the woman that lived in the house, she says to me, were you not cold? She says, when you're lying there, she says, there's snowing on you. She says, I come out and put a coat over you. And like, I didn't even know it was there, you know, it was just amazing. And to think, I'd never ever come back to me what happened before the accident, not to mention during the accident or even after it that morning. So it was after I recovered, and maybe 6 months or so later, I was able to drive now again. Decided if I was going to go hard on the roads, it'd be better with a road cage and better if the road was closed. Not that when you hit black ice, it matters if it's open or closed, but if rallied in black ice in Galway, it was good old crack. For those of you in the Honda Civics, I remember there was a Honda Civic graveyard on the top of the mountain in the middle of the stage. There was 2 or 3 on this side of the road and 2 or 3 on this side of the road, so the black ice had caught them out. I think they put the juniors through in front of the main rally, so that's why the juniors were all in the Civics, so the black ice was good crack in there. But that's how I got started rallying. I know I rallied a wee Fiat Strada, first of all. Stuck to the Fiats again, hey. We're reliable, you know, rotten but reliable. And then that was the first rally was in June 1984, done the morning rally. Got a trophy and everything, it's good going. And then 1987 I bought a Renault 5 turbo, wee 1.4 turbo, and done a good bit of rally in that. 1990 I sold it, intended to buy another rally car, I never got around to it for 13 years. 13 years later I bought an Evo 6, Group N Evo 6. So, and then a couple of Evo 9s, and then I got that Evo 10 there just before Easter. So that's sort of how I got into the rally, you know.
Thanks very much, Stanley. And at the minute you're obviously rallying an Evo 10. You've been rallying a couple of rallies in the last couple of weeks. Just tell us how those have gone, or how have you placed there?
Well, first rally I done that was Circuit Ireland. Done the international part because well, it was round the European Championship on your doorstep, so it's not every day you get doing around the European Championship on your doorstep. So we're getting on alright, you know, getting used to the car. The springs are a wee bit soft on her, and she wasn't just as stable as she should be. But in the middle of the day on Friday, we were told there's a wee problem with some of the stuff that was wrote in the car, and then when Friday was over, we were told that the FIA stewards were looking to see us. And then they decided that we weren't allowed to start the rally on Saturday morning unless we covered up the Bible verses. And then she broke down the motorway heading to the first station Saturday morning. They never really looked at the car on the way out. We hadn't much covered up now, a couple of wee bits like, but not much. And we no sooner broke down than we got a text message to say the FIA stewards were furious that we didn't cover them all up and they were going to exclude us from the rally. The full story about that is on YouTube. Fella done a wee interview with me about it, so it's called Rally Reality. So if you look it up in Rally Reality, you'll get the full story. But as well, she stopped when she did because the catalytic converter was blocking on her at the same time. And boys following me out the motorway said the exhaust was pure red on her. So if she hadn't stopped, she probably would have burned. When a rally car is burned, you lose the whole thing. When you wreck it, you only use bits of it, you know. But when she burns, just good night. And there's never no insurance on her.
Thanks, Stanley. But you'd mentioned a wee bit about your rally car. It's not the same as any other rally car. There are Bible verses written down the side of it. You know, do you want to explain to me why that is and how that came about?
Well, I suppose that came about when I was 8 years of age. Went to a wee Bible club for 5 days in the summer in the city of Donaghmana. That's where I was born, Donaghmana. Sure you all know where it is, like, it's a major place. And as a 5-day club went on, they were just explaining to us from the Bible how everybody was a sinner and how God sent his one and only Son, Jesus, to come and die on the cross. And he was the only person that ever lived on earth without sinning. And then he went to the cross and died to pay a price, pay as a sacrifice for our sins. And if we wanted to be sure of a place in heaven and have life to the full here on earth, that we had to just put our faith in that, what he done, and ask him to forgive us. So when I was 8, I was able to understand that because it's simple. And it's still as simple yet. People think when they're adults there has to be more to it. But when I was 8, I done that, and it didn't make a wide big difference to me then, but it made a difference to me since. And wanted to tell the good news to others because I do enjoy it and have life to the full, and I wouldn't swap it. Wouldn't swap knowing Jesus for anything. And so it was actually during the time when I had no rally car that I decided if I got a rally car again that I'd put some message on it to let people know the good news about Jesus. And this is how we finished up with the verses in the car. And generally get great support everywhere I go. And that problem we had with FIA stewards was just because of FIA regulation, some wee regulation that says no religious or political advertising allowed in the car. Now in fairness, they shouldn't let me through scrutiny, like, but you got half the rally done, which is a bonus anyway. And but if you check out Rally Reality on YouTube, it'll tell you the full story all about it. But you know, that time I had the accident, now fate, I could have been taken into eternity in a flash that night and knew nothing about it. Because like I knew nothing about what happened even before the accident. You know, some people say I'll get right with Jesus sometime before I die, or I'll ask him to forgive me sometime later. But if something like that happened, you'd have no opportunity. And I realised that night, you know, because I just can't get over it. I can't even remember it before the accident, not to mention during it, so there's no opportunity to do anything. So if I had died that night, at least I knew I was going to heaven, which is a lot better than going to spend eternity in hell. So that's why the verses on it.
Thanks very much, Stanley. For those who come along to the CCM car meet, I mean, we as a church here, we love cars, we're into cars, we're passionate about them, but we're also passionate about Jesus and God, who, as Stanley said, makes a real impact upon our lives and helps us to live life to the full because we're living it the way that he wants us to live, but we're also because we put our trust in Jesus. But, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, becoming a Christian. Does it mean once you become a Christian, once you've put your trust in him, that life is just hunky-dory the rest of the time and it's easy peasy? And, you know, is that it? Is that you sorted, or how have you found things since you did become a Christian?
Well, I suppose you say some folk thinks should just be life should be a bed of roses, then, you know, nothing ever happens to you. But, well, like, you enjoy being a Christian, and you know you always have Jesus there to help you and to turn to in times of trouble. But wee thing happened to me one night, motoring related too. Seen a couple of young boys broke down one night. This was between Ballymagora and Ardygarbon, two more major cities that just mightn't have heard of, like. They're all near Strabane. And I stopped to give them a tow, and I had a rope in my hand, but I wasn't down tying it on. I threw one end on the ground, told one of the boys to tie it on to the right car. This was in the days when towing eyes were actually in the car. You had to go hooking for it in the boot, you know. And the next thing I knew is my hands and knees in the ground. and all I could see was the rope was still in my hands and the tarmac was wet. And I thought when I was down, I got 2 electric shocks. Just felt like from the points of my fingers to the points of my toes, like I was getting electric shocks. I actually thought electric pole or something had fell, and the electric was travelling through the wet tarmac. And then I remember lifting my head up and saying, what's happening? And one of the boys come walking round from behind me, swinging a claw hammer. And he says, you're coming with us, he says, and if you do it, you'll tell you'll not be harmed. And that's when then I realised the shocks was him hitting me in the head with a claw hammer. He hit me here with a claw end of the hammer, knocked me down, and he hit me in the middle of the back of the head with it. I think there's a lump there yet, tell you the truth. And he hit me in the back of the neck with it. And I don't remember how I got up on the ground. I remember getting into the back of my old Jeep. And one of the boys, he got into the driver's seat and started revving her. And another boy got in front of me with a hammer. The boy driving says, watch him. But I was 3/4 knocked out. I wasn't able to do anything. And they headed off down the road, my Jeep flat out. And then he pulled down the sun visor and he says, where's your driver's license? I says, in the front door pocket. He says, we need this vehicle for an operation, he says. And he says, we believe in you off, he says, and if you go to the RUC, your family home will be burnt down before the morning. We'll get your name and address of your driver's license. So he told me this about 20 times, so definitely got the message. But the boy with the hammer gave him directions and headed in towards the town centre in Strabane. And getting in there, the boy with the hammer, he says, maybe we'll get somebody to watch you. Then he says, we'll be tying you up so you'll not be fat to go anywhere. And then he says, I'll be knocking you out with this hammer so you'll not be fat to go anywhere. So I was really looking forward to that, you know. And as in through the square in Strabane, the taxis and stuff were pulling out in front of them. And sort of thought at that stage, if this boy slows down again, I could maybe get out here. Because I was sitting right at the very back and there's now an inside handle on the tailgate and I could see it wasn't locked. So the annual fun fair was on Bridge End in Strabane, so up and there's a bit of a traffic jam on top of the bridge at 10:30 at night. And I watched the boy with the hammer one eye, and as soon as he looked forward, I grabbed the handle and jumped out. And I remember running over the footpath because my neck was that thrower, couldn't turn around to see if they're coming after me. But I imagined these boys coming after me with this claw hammer. And I met a couple of couples coming walking, and I says, help them boys is after me. And I'm sure they thought I was mad in the head because there probably nobody after me. But I ran to the police station and sort of tried to get them out now because I thought they could get them if they got out in a hurry, you know. But and then I rang home. My wife wasn't in her bed, and I rang my mother's then. And my mother actually had been asked these boys to give them a tow just before. And she said, I'll send my son down with a Jeep to tow you. She's going to make sure they're sorted out, but I come on them before she actually sent me down. But told my mother it happened, she nearly took a heart attack. And then my brother, he came on to take me to the hospital. And the police says, we'll ring down to make sure they see to you. So when I'm down to the hospital, there's 2 nurses sent me right away. One of them cleaned the blood off my head, and one of them put a big collar on my neck. And put me in a wee cubicle, and I thought, this is great, you don't have to wait 14 hours from the police ring down. Thought it was a great job. But the wait only started then. Put me in the wee cubicle, flat my back, and they wouldn't let me move. And I was dying to go to the toilet, and I really wouldn't let me budge. Because they said the blow to the top of my head could have broke my neck, not to mention the blow on the neck. So they wouldn't let me budge to get x-rayed. But when I was lying there, the collar was cutting right into the place in the back of my head where it was hit with a hammer. And I was in agony, and I thought, boy, this is lethal lying here. This whole thing cutting into my head, and I couldn't budge. Then I thought, well, I'm suffering a lot here, but I'm not suffering very much compared to what Jesus suffered. And I thought how they used the hammer and drove the big nails into his hands and feet and put him that cross. And I thought, well, Jesus suffered and died to pay the price for my sins. He also suffered and died to pay the price for the sins for the 2 fellas that done this. And he also suffered and died to pay the price for the sins of everybody here. And I prayed there and then in my own heart and forgive them and prayed that God would save them in prison or whatever. And it was only by the grace of God I was able to do that, but I never lost a night's sleep over them since. And the guy with the hammer is actually, they were got the next day and they never got bail, which was an answer to prayer. They were sent to the Young Offender Centre in Hydebank. There's a cousin of mine there, a girl now. I'd say they didn't know she was my cousin, but I think they got a dig in the ribs every time she seen them, so I'm sure they're wondering why. But they eventually admitted everything. I hadn't to go to court or anything, you know. One of them was truly sorry for what he'd done about his riding Jeep, but the boy bit with the hammer. He even sent a letter out of the prison bumming to somebody about what he'd done, and even put a weight. He put like so many ounce hammer or so many pound hammer and all. He even put a weight to the hammer and all and bummed about what he'd done. But unfortunately, the minute he's waiting to be charged, or he's charged with 2 murders at the minute, which if he didn't change his ways was only a matter of time, which is sad, you know.
Thanks, Stanley. So I suppose it means that at the end of the day, we're all going to go through difficult times in life, but those of us who are put our trust in Christ, we always have that help and strength through difficult times. Again, I just want to say a big thank you to come along today, and even just to share with the folks here. Listen, all of us we love cars, we're into cars, but we love Jesus as well. We want to share Him with you. We want to share what He's done in our lives with you, and we do that hopefully through the way we do things here at the car show. And on a Thursday night, and any other time that anybody wants to talk to us about it, we're welcome to share what Jesus has done with us and done for us. So thank you again for coming along, and thank you, Stanley, and thank you for just sharing a wee bit of your personal story about what you know, how you get into cars, and also what Jesus means to you. So thanks again, Stanley. Thank you. At this stage, I'm going to hand over now to Johnny Black, and I think Emma Humphreys as well. Will she be coming up? She doesn't want to come up the front. She hates doing that sort of thing. But yet, Emma Humphreys does the bulk of the organising for all of this, and the organising for things that go on at kind of car meets and Facebook and all of that sort of stuff. So it's important that Emma comes to the front as well. So thanks very much, little Johnny. It's over to big Johnny here, and
That's older
as well. We just want to make a few thank yous before we do the prizes. Thank you all for coming. It really makes the day, and the effort and energy and creativity that you put in your motors. We really appreciate it, and the standard made it very, very difficult for us, and there's a lot of debate, and a lot of these things are subjective. Hopefully you've had a good day. Hopefully the prizes are a bit of icing on the cake, but the main thing is we want you to have had a really good time here and carried off car mates. I want to thank the stands who came along and have maybe done a wee bit of business there. We want to thank them for their support. We want to thank the folks who have donated some stuff here for the prizes. And there's a few of the members of the church, you'll have seen them walking about, giving you coffee, tea, tray bakes, burgers, all of that there. So we just want to thank them for doing that, and for the church for letting us run this. But I'm sure what you really want to know now are the prizes. So we had a few motorbikes cried off, so the best motorbike in show was a little bit easier to decide than the other categories. So the best motorbike in the show goes to Chris Neal for the R6, lovely white R6. Okay, there you go, Chris. There's your certificate. Can we ask the winners? We want to get a photo up with you all there just at the end, so don't be going too far away. Okay, the best stock category. And the best stock category here goes for, I think it's right, the red Ibiza of Mark Whitford. Okay, as I say, the standard was very, very high. We had marked for different things, and there was a lot of debate and all on it, but the best classic that we ended up going for was the Nova GSI, and that goes to Ricky McCulley. Now, while Ricky gets the prize and is taking the clap for all the work and all the applause for all the hard work, it was his good wife who did most of the cleaning. Okay, the next award then is for the best lady owner, and the best lady owner for that was the Nissan 350Z of Caroline Boyd. Okay, the next one is the judges' wildcard category, and the wildcard category this year again goes to White Evo of Daniel Quinn. Again, Daniel scored high for marks and exterior, well polished, on a lot of mods. I think about 550 odd brake horsepower coming out there, so very well done. Okay then. Again, a lot of these things we've said are subjective. We've marked them. You may agree, you may disagree, but again, hopefully somebody will be happy, and certainly the people who get the prizes will be happy. Best modified goes to the, it's wrong to call it black, but the rainbow flecked RX-8 at the far end of the car park for Alan Dara.
It's not paint, it's plastic.
Okay, again, you'll have seen the flags and banners up, and we have a prize or category for the best club stand this year, and very, very difficult to judge, but I think the stand who had probably the highest average of car marks would go to Showworks, which is up closest to us here. So the best club stand goes to Showworks. Okay, now just 2 prizes left. The runner-up to the best in show. The runner-up to best in show, Clark Kaki with a Golf GTI, blue Golf GTI and airbags just at the top of the car park there. And the best in show, everybody will have their own personal one, but the best in show that we've, after much debate and rechecking, have decided to go with is the blue MX-5 of Ian Cummings. Can I thank you for guys who have entered their details in the categories that they entered into. We were tempted to give a special prize to the guy who, when it said category, he put his was category D write-off. We're going to give him that. The S2000, the yellow S2000, almost got a prize for having a black and yellow ladybird on the boot, but I think that was just more coincidence. Can we also thank we have the guys over here from FASA. You may or may not have heard of FASA. Basically, they are set up to deal with abuse of different substances, whether it be alcohol, glue, or drugs. And the ambulance is actually there. You'll see it's Muppets to Mongolia. It says 4, but there are 5 of them now going out to Mongolia. They're trying to raise money so that they can open the first out-of-hours support centre. If you haven't spoken to them or got any other information, go over, have a wee look, pick up one of their leaflets, and if you have any loose change, put it in their bucket just to help them on their way. When you're leaving, there are welcome packs, but you're leaving, so there are probably more goodbye packs. In those packs there'll be a few vouchers, there'll be a few wee presents and things, just to remind you of your day here at Carried Off Car Meets. Just before you go, what I just want to do, just for 2 minutes, maybe even less, we're on the church, just want to give thanks to God in a quick prayer, so just if you give us a second and we'll do that. Father God, we just thank you for the great day that we've had. We thank you for the weather. We thank you that you've given us creativity. We thank you're a God who is creative, and we reflect your image when we are creative. We thank you for all the cars that are here. We thank you that when you look and see us enjoying ourselves, that is part of what you want us to do to enjoy life. You've said, I've come, Jesus, that we might have life and have it in its fullness. As we go home, we just pray that you'll keep us safe on the roads, and that wherever we go, we will remember something of the day that we've had here. Amen. So listen, thanks again, guys. Good to see you. If you want to come along to the CCM, it's on every other Thursday. But safe home, drive safely. Thank you.
See the policeman, he was up in the Discovery. He's supposed to hang about. Wait for him to come out, sure he says he lives on the other empty road. He says, so everyone see it. So he's away sitting way down there, doing things to get out of the legs.
Unless you go that way.
No, he's like down one of the other roads, like one of the. He was lovely guy, Here. Here. Oh, it's not.
Do you want something to recognise the off? No. Well, that's correct. No, it's not on.
So the winner is up here.
You're sitting in seats.
I'm paid right.
Get the spawners out and get this spawner back on.
No, there's no point putting it back on yet. Might as well wait until it goes off. It's only what, 5 minutes to put it back on? Ah, whatever.
I'm here for the
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fine.
I still think PCS first. Pretty well to build up the air pressure.
Competition.
Just tell you what, I was working off in the winter and
Nothing what?
Oh, like, oh, I'm coming behind that. Like,
I think I was on these little bit of 666. Or 666, do you remember that? Funny.
What the war? What's sort of?
You didn't win it, hasn't
We don't win everything. Oh, how's your house? And this year, August, with
I
next
think
week.
diesels are petrels. Are these diesels or petrels?
Yeah, there are S's.
There are
Yeah,
S's?
they're 600 twin turbos.
Serious?
Hopefully they're not V8s. Obviously they've seen their guys change them next time around. I haven't got a take photo of them before.
Look at the colour of mine. Actually, mine don't look as bad now. They're so red, but they don't look like. Look at my, look at my neck. Look at my neck.
Oh!
It's really bad.
That's time.
That's hilarious. Like, that's the best thing is you're sitting like here all day.
I know, but I was
Dandering
sitting,
about
the
in
whole
white.
time I was sitting like in the same spot and I was just beating.
No, your face is tan.
Go get something you can drink.
Back, no. It's
Well,
only
it's not
a
even
tiny bit, like tan.
I tried this.
Yeah.
No, that's
Oh, that's 350. Oh, yeah. Low to my wheels. Yeah. I got a next on.
Nova one classic. Short one club stand. Evo one. No, Andy one. I'm modified.
You're stepping far enough back.
I'm staying well back. Oh, these are.
let's go. Brilliant.
No, it was only on the back then. Yeah.
Well, no, actually, we have to buy them. I don't know. I was going to say you check it. Once the numbers go in the quarter. Literally so much.
No.
Oh yeah.
Merchandising manager. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ross. You know some like some guys like working this Irish here. It's not a really big beard. It's probably weird. Like, my mom was by some guy supposed to move on this place. Said he was doing it.
So he was working for a bank.
Yeah.
Is that right? For a bar.
Yeah.
What?
Is that like a choice in my eyes?
No. He says he's pretty popular.
Getting free labour here, right?
Because all the rest of you
Not our jackets.
I got burnt there at the. I helped take apart this boy.
Trying to squeeze some hands out.
I know.
Let's see if the engineer can manage to take
Oh yeah, okay, Ross.
Yeah, I keep Johnny Turbo there on the VM. You should hear. Lovely. Oh no, it's just
I don't know how meat was a medium. I don't know how to medium here, you see.
So where's the done the other time?
I think it's all extra large. I'll show you everything.
No, honestly.
They are, so that was definitely
Very
extra.
good.
I'll show you everything.
When are we warned about tech?
Ross, you make us?
We said about tech.
Yeah. Standard procedure. Standard procedure.
Where's your wee bucket?
3D quitters.
Where's the fashion bucket? Oh, it's over in the ambulance.
Where's your whip today?
I might buy a t-shirt as well.
Yeah. No bother.
That's a ball. Still live.
Oh yeah, you are, yeah.
There's your t-shirt underneath your. Yeah. There we go. That's awesome.
I use t-shirt folders.
Hey, Jack, I'll see you later, man.
See you later.
So many people have them.
Here we go.